welcome everybody. Just wanted to thank Hope so much for putting all this together, bringing us all together during these fun times. If anybody's driving, like you said, keep your video off, make sure we're cruising, and staying safe and all that good stuff. Just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Zach Bordone. I'm the National Wellness Director with Drugco Health Specialty Pharmacy. A little bit about myself. I have severe hemophilia A, or like I like to say, me and the guys, severe with no fear. And essentially, I got my educational background in physical therapy, certified strength and conditioning specialist, and nutrition. And what I did is I always wanted to serve my community in some sort of way to help the younger population be, smarter, better, faster, and stronger than I am, and help the older population deal with pain levels. Because we know pain is, pretty big thing, going on in our community. And that's pretty much why I put the wellness program together, is to help preserve, protect, and prevent any issues that come to the joints in the future. And moving on, and also actually Eric Castillo, my blood brother and fellow employee, he's actually going to be handling the Spanish portion of this presentation, and just wanted to give a shout out to him. And we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. All right, guys. So taking care of yourself, emphasis on the care. As you can see, it's capitalized. We're going to go into this real quick. So moving on to the first slide. So what does CARE stand for? Well, at Drugco, we believe that the C stands for communication, which, communication can be a lot of things. We can talk about between family members, between people in our community. Speaking with our HTC team is extremely important, and just keeping communication open at all times can make the biggest difference in a lot of the relationships in our lives. And before we do jump into this, I do know that I'm supposed to ask a question. So I want you guys to pay close attention, because this is a $50 Amazon gift card if somebody answers it correctly, which is going to be, what is the acronym for fat soluble vitamins? Okay, what is the acronym for fat soluble vitamins? Tune in towards the end. It's the only hint I'm going to give for you guys to get that answer. And I believe they're going to handle that in the chat and whatnot. So we went over C, and A, we're going to go to awareness and advocacy. Okay. I'm pretty sure we've heard these two terms heard a lot in our community, especially through all the educational, chapter events and whatnot that we go through, especially in the bleeding disorder community. With awareness, don't be afraid to spread as much awareness as we possibly can about our bleeding disorders, especially being in a rare population. I mean, a lot of people don't know about it. And believe it or not, a lot of healthcare professionals only learn a definition of the word hemophilia, or von Willebrand's disease. So it's important for us to not only spread awareness, but to advocate for ourselves as well. And especially awareness and advocacy, helps out during fundraisers. I know that I've done a lot of fundraisers in my life. I've, raised money for CHKD, which is the, children's hospital that I went to all the way to 21 years old. They saved my life, many times, and I like to pay back to them. So in my entire lifetime, I've actually raised individually about $450,000 for them. And not to mention my local chapter, who I've been involved with in Virginia, I've pretty much raised around about the same amount of money for them individually. And just putting all that together, I mean, it really, really helps your chapter out. And honestly, it helps you step out of your shell, to realize that spreading awareness is not a bad thing. It's nothing that we should be afraid of, and it makes all the difference in the long run. Now, resources are for resources. We believe in reaching out to people that are the right credentials, especially our HTC team, talking to, physical therapists, with my background in physical therapy and strength and conditioning and nutrition. I'm a very vital resource that I help out individuals in all aspects of their life, to help them have a drive to thrive above their bleeding disorder. And E for empowerment. I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory. You know, you absolutely need to empower yourselves to stand up, for the right thing and represent your community in the right way. And that could be anywhere from empowering yourselves to go and talking to your local senators and politicians during the advocacy days. We're going to go over a little bit of bad stressors in your life. Now, in the references at the end, obviously you're going to see working from home could be a bad stressor, and we'll kind of go over that. Especially with unemployment being, the highest, having a job is something that we should be thankful for, but it's just listed in my references at the end. So working at home, it depends on how you look at it. Are you happy to have a job, which obviously everybody should be? Excuse me. But the issues with it being a bad stressor is, you're balancing your family life while, from home can basically impede your concentration value. Looking at the dirty laundry on the floor and then thinking about that nice PowerPoint you need to present in the same day can be a very challenging situation. And finding that balance, of course, we're always looking out for it in our entire lives. How do we find that balance between work, family life, finishing the chores around the house, and things like that? So when I mean working from home, that's what I mean about, the more challenging stressors that we have to deal with. Relationship issues. I value all the relationships that I have in my lifetime. I've tried to make a strong connection with my community, my friends, my family. And, if I haven't heard from any of my blood sisters or blood brothers in a while, reach out. I know I do, because it's simply just using that C in the beginning of care of communication and asking that extremely powerful question. If you haven't heard from somebody in a long time, how are you doing? And truly mean that. Ask, how are you doing? And be ready for anything. Because we always got to be there for our community members, friends, and family, because relationships are one of the most valuable things that I have in my life. And I hope that you guys have in yours. Injury and illness, another bad stressor. My brother, for issue or instance, he's been having a lot of liver issues. And especially with the craziness going on with COVID and going in and out of the hospital, and he's had a couple of GI bleeds. To be more specific, he has esophageal varices, which essentially is an enlarged vein, kind of like a hemorrhoid, but it's located in your neck. Okay, so that's secreting a little bit of blood, and obviously he's bleeding a little bit GI wise, but right now he is stable and he is doing very, very well. So that's the kind of things that I'm talking about with injury and illness, death in the family, and unemployment. These things are going on right now. Especially unemployment. My best friend's dad, he's hooked up to a ventilator right now, and I'm trying to be there as much as I can and be there for him. But he's going through a really rough time where, me working in the healthcare, profession, there's a lot of things that I know that they're telling him, like the nurses and the doctors that are preparing him for them taking him off of that respirator, and potentially he could be brain dead. So that's an extremely bad stressor. And if anybody's dealt with any death in the family or unemployment right now, my heart truly goes out to you. Obviously, you can see how it's impacted my life right now, but just be there for your loved ones. And if you're truly going through it yourself right now, reach out to someone. Now, sleeping dysfunction, you know, sleep is so important for the human body. And a lot of people don't really understand that. They think that they're actually getting good sleep, but they're not. And usually for adults, I try to tell people with any of my patients that I work with, 6 to 8 hours is the gold standard for adults. Now, that needs to be undisturbed sleep. Now, what do I mean by that? Obviously, if you're sleeping, you're waking up, you're going back to sleep, and you wake up around 2 or 3 times where you're breaking that sleep cycle. And a lot of things can be associated with, sleep dysfunction, stress in your life, poor nutrition, mental illness. But however, being proactive instead of reactive about the situation and seeking help can make, the biggest difference in your life. because sleep's so important, in our bodies. It helps us repair, it helps us reset and get the proper undisturbed sleep that we need to help us get ready for the next day. Especially if you're working out, sleep, when you hit that fourth REM of sleep, because there's 1 through 4 or 5, arguably whatever the psychologist you're talking to, you need to repair your body. And that's exactly how it's going to happen. The hormones start to kick in, your muscles start to repair. All the nice nutrition that you gave throughout your day is especially going to help rebuild your body and make you more energized and increase your concentration for the next day. Because what we eat today affects us tomorrow, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So some of the good stressors in your life: receiving a promotion at work, starting a new job. Now, so the bad stressors we call distress, and the good stressors we call eustress. Any psychology class that you take, you're going to learn those two different terms. And good stressors in your life can help motivate you, that can help drive your career, that can help build relationships in your life and whatnot. Obviously having a child, I have a daughter, she just turned 15 years old. Although she is not blood, she is mine. And I love her to death. And I always tell everybody she's 15 going on 25. She thinks she knows everything. I got to check her all the time. She makes the Italian come out, but we have a beautiful relationship, and I'm very thankful to have her in my life. And as far as marriage is concerned, that I will say getting ready for the wedding, can be a very stressful situation, but it's so worth it if you're marrying the love of your life. I literally just got married 2 weeks ago. I had some issues with getting the proper venue. And even before COVID started, we had this event and we picked this place called Noah's. Well, Noah's was nationally known. They were in 43 different states. They were a very reputable company. However, we put down about, $7,000 because it incorporated everything that we needed, from the food, beautiful venue and all that stuff. Well, they went belly up and they, basically filed for bankruptcy. So I had to contact my bankruptcy, lawyer, one of my friends that I know, and he told me basically, you're out of luck, Zach. From what they filed, you're going to lose the money. There's nothing you can do. So we tried to plan this thing about 4 or 5 times. We finally decided to have a backyard wedding. We got it done in 30 days. I will say, if anybody's ever done that, good luck. I'll say that again, good luck. It can be a very stressful thing, especially when you're working a job, doing the family life. So I was obviously staying up very, very late, building the gazebo and all that stuff to make sure that it was a perfect day for me and the love of my life, Leanne. But we did get married. And of course, taking vacations and holidays, those are good stressors. You want more of that in your life. Now, understanding the difference between stressors in your life, obviously, this is going to increase your quality of life. Understanding what a bad stressor is versus a good stressor, can lower your anxiety levels. Obviously, we talked about sleep. It can improve your quality of sleep, provide more energy for the next day to keep you concentrated and keep on building your career and building your relationships in life. And it can make all the difference. And of course, it always makes you enjoy more, and then you get to stress less. And one of the most important things is understanding, kind of the way people think, because normally they tell you there's two mindsets, and I disagree with that. But I do agree with, pessimistic and optimistic. Pessimistic, obviously, the glass is going to be, half empty. Optimists look at it as half filled. The way that I look at it is, if I see a little bit of water in a glass, man, I'm just happy I get a drink. You know what I'm saying? So, depending on your attitudes and how you look at things in life can really make the biggest difference, of how thankful you are or how negative you can be, to yourself. And going on into, essentially mental health, a lot of people, think they understand it, and I really do hope they do, because it is so absolutely important. And we're so thankful here at the Drugco family that we have Dr. Carletha Gates that leads the mental health program, as well as Stephanie Shea that assist with the program as well. And that's one of the things and one of the staples that we pride ourselves with is all the programming that we have to help handle every aspect, of a person in the community, the bleeding disorder community's life. With the National Wellness Program that I created, the mental health program, caring for caregivers, we try to, step up and help out as many people as we possibly can because we know there's a lot of issues that go on in the community and we just want to provide solutions. So mental health includes the psychological, the emotional, and the social well-being. Or if you want to simplify it, it just determines, the way that we think, we feel, and we act. And another thing about our mental health situation is depending on how stressed out we are or how positive we are with each other, it decides on how we're going to handle stress or essentially how we view a situation in its entirety. Some people might look at, getting a promotion at work as extremely stressful and bad stress, while other people might be like, well, I get a raise, I get more responsibilities, so on and so forth. So this kind of depends on how you look at it. And of course, it's gonna mental health shapes the way that we're gonna relate to others. If we're in a bad mood all the time, if we're not getting sleep, if we're not eating properly, obviously we might be a little bit more on the negative side or just stressed out. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're stressed out to the point where we might be taking it out on somebody else, or we might come off abrasive or in the wrong way when in our minds we might just be thinking, well, I just answered the question. I thought I did it, properly. But the way you come off and the way your attitude is, your attitude determines your altitude in my book every single day of the week. And how you speak to others is how you want to be spoken to yourself. So obviously everybody, no matter what's going on in life, always try to speak to each other, kindly and always speak to each other the way that you would like to be, spoken to. And of course, mental health guides our choices in life. Now, how can we improve our mental health? Well, like I said, just depends on your attitude and whatnot. But in short, speaking kindly to yourself, I kind of want to pause and talk about this. There is a lot of negativity in the world, so the more positive you can be to yourself is extremely important. And speaking kindly to yourself, no, that does not mean you're going to sit there and have a conversation with yourself and talk to yourself at the local coffee shop or something like that. Please don't do that. In our minds, we speak, to ourselves about 600 to 1,500 words, per day. And if you make those words more positive than they are negative, it can determine, how the way you're going to function throughout that day, how you're going to function in life. Building your relationships and speaking kindly to yourself can go as easy as, you finish a task throughout the day. It could be the laundry, it could be mowing the lawn, it could be finishing that assignment at school or finishing that assignment at work. Give yourself a pat on the back, you know? It's just, basically like if I completed a task throughout the day, I'm like, hey, good job, man. Keep on moving forward. Let's make the best out of this day and, live every day like it's your last. Now, when we're talking about deep breathing exercises, this is a extremely good coping mechanism that you can use throughout life, especially when the walls feel like they're coming in around you. Now, deep diaphragmatic breathing. A lot of people don't understand it. They think they understand it, but they don't understand it. And, from a physical therapy standpoint, we have to teach people with COPD how to, which is a pulmonary disorder of your lungs where you can't expel. So when you breathe in, you get oxygen. When you breathe out, it's CO2. Well, they can't get all of the CO2 out of their lungs, which makes issues when they breathe. So diaphragmatic breathing can not only be used for health issues, but it can also be helped with mental health as well. Now, how you do a diaphragmatic breathing exercise when I teach a patient, it's pretty simple. So everybody take your writing hand or your dominant hand, and I want you to place it on your stomach. I want you to take the other hand, I want you to place it on your chest. When we get stressed, we breathe from our chest. And I don't understand why. It's just what we do. Or, people are like, oh, I don't want to stick out my stomach, because I might look fat. Well, don't be that way. The more oxygen you get to your system, the more it flows in your blood, the more it gets to your brain, the better off you're going to be in life. So, with your dominant hand on your stomach, your non dominant hand on your chest, I want you to breathe in nice and slow, and I want you to push that belly out. But the whole time, you want your dominant hand moving on your belly, but you don't want your non dominant hand moving on your chest. So you just want to feel your stomach push out, and then you want to breathe out nice and slow. And purse your lips, and you want to breathe all that air out. Now, if you do this throughout the day, especially when you get stressed out, and you do this 5 times, nice, slow, and controlled breaths, and pushing that stomach out and expelling all the oxygen that you have in your lungs by pursing your lips. It's kind of like blowing out a candle when I talk to patients, when I'm dealing with them like an outpatient work. It will make the biggest difference in your life. So the next time you get stressed out, and you think, all the walls are coming in around you, you feel like you're drowning, take a moment for yourself. I want you to do 5 deep breaths in, breathe out, and make sure that you're using your diaphragm, which is located near your stomach region right down here. Pushing that out will actually help lower your blood pressure. It'll help lower your heart rate, and it'll help you just deal with life a little bit better. With meditation, I know a lot of people kind of have a little social stigma against it. It actually can be very beneficial if you know how to do it right. If you don't know how to do it right, there are applications or apps you can get in the iPhone App Store, or you can get on your, phone or your computer that can help you out, such as Calm, CALM. You can try about a 14-day version. It's free, and then after that, I think it costs about like $5 a month. But it will walk you through on how to meditate, and it can actually just put peaceful sounds, in the background that can actually help promote sleep. If you have a lot of stress, or even if you want more concentration, to be more positive with yourself, there's a lot of different settings that you can put on that application as well. And of course, we all hope to find the balance in life, which, if you guys have figured it out, you guys let me know. But I try everything in my power, and I'm always honest to people that finding that balance in life, if you ever truly figure it out, you have mastered life. And that's from working to the relationships in your life to, helping out your neighbor and making sure that you always have a positive attitude. And of course, we went over social interactions, but strength and conditioning and proper nutrition, obviously, these are going to be 2 of my staples that I absolutely believe in. With me being a strength and conditioning coach and having a certification in nutrition, these are going to be extremely important. And we'll kind of go into them a little later on during the presentation of how you can take care of yourself properly. Now, the mind-body connection. Okay, so we know that attitudes determine our altitudes. Speaking more positively towards yourself than negatively, affect the body. Well, how does it do that? Well, if you're negative all the time, obviously you're going to stress yourself out. And if you're stressing yourself out, the body has 2 modes. It's fight or flight. So if you're negative to yourself and you're talking down to yourself, obviously, the fight or flight mode with fight, you start to secrete norepinephrine and epinephrine, which is just adrenaline from the body, which are secreted from your adrenal medulla. Bunch of science terms, not that big of a deal, but essentially it increases your heart rate, it increases your blood pressure, and it's just not healthy for your system. So that's why I'm very, very keen on, speaking a little bit more positive than negative to yourself. If you can do all positive, good for you. But I know that we're all, perfectly imperfect human beings. So it can be kind of a hassle finding that balance. Obviously complimenting yourself more, good job, finish that task, or, had a great run today, good workout, let's get it tomorrow and whatnot. And just realizing that motivation is built over time. And sometimes people are unmotivated, and I get it because I've been there in my life. Like I said, I'm completely, honest with everything, but it is such a small part in my life where I might be unmotivated one day, but I will do whatever I can to figure out the problem of why I'm unmotivated. Is it I have a bleed and I'm going through, a lot of pain and I'm on, downtime and I can't get the things done that I want to? Or do I just appreciate the fact that I am resting my body? I am resting that bleed. I'm following the proper RICE procedures: rest, ice, compress, elevate, especially on the elevate part, because I always see guys not lifting their appendage higher than their heart. And they're thinking that's going to help the circulation and, lower that swelling in that joint. And they think they do it, but there's sometimes we have to go back to the drawing board and help these people learn how to heal better, which is absolutely not a problem at all. And that's something that I really, value my studies and, just my life experience on how I get over bleeds quicker, than a normal person. Um, Obviously the mind powers the body, but can the body power the mind? That's a pretty important question. And if you guys have any questions throughout this presentation, I know I see the chat going off. There's only something I can see, my slides in the presentation. Feel free to chime in, ask any questions you want. I'm an open book and I don't mind talking to you guys. So taking care of our bodies. Obviously,
Question.
yep. What's up?
Why the dominant hand on the stomach with the deep breathing?
You said why the dominant hand?
Yeah.
Concentrate on it more. Put it simply. Got it? Good question, Nancy. So taking care of your body. So, physical activity and proper workouts, which we're going to go into an example of a proper workout after this slide. Physical activity, that can be anything from your run of the mill chores around the house. You are using energy to do that, which is going to help you stay active. It's going to help you breathe better. It's going to help you be better. Walking around the neighborhood with a bunch of friends, or just walking around the neighborhood listening to music yourself. If you can't walk, now that's some of the things. When they go through these presentations, they don't bring up a lot of the blood sisters and blood brothers that have issues like, or issues in a wheelchair, or they have an assisted device where they're in crutches or something like that. Those are the avenues of choice that I value my education in, that I help them realize, hey, there's always a way to get something done. There's always a way to stay positive, and there's always a way for physical activity, And I've even created cardio programs, like a cardio workout with individuals that are, cannot have the ability to use their legs, but they can still use their arms. And we can do a lot of different arm motions and stuff like that to keep the blood pumping and keeping your heart working efficiently. Of course, body weight exercises, I'm a big advocate of, proper squats, proper push-ups, good walking mechanics. Obviously, if you have some joint replacements or fused ankle, knee replacements, hip replacements, that's stuff that we can work on and come up with different strategies to help you do it better, more efficiently, and have less issues in the future. Of course, if we know that we're working out our muscles, a lot of people don't really think about it, but your muscles become stronger. It protects the body from damage, but your bones actually become stronger. Now, this is extremely important for people who are aging, around, I'd say 45 and up. Your bone mineral density, it's basically called Wolff's Law in physical therapy. The more stress, of course, not breaking stress, but the more stress you put on a bone over time, the stronger it will become. Now, that helps out with, osteoporosis later on in life, or brittle bones and rickets and stuff like that. We never want to break a bone living the life of a bleeding disorder. I mean, that causes a whole slew of complications, from just being able to, let's say, breaking your leg and using it more or using it properly, but, just a lot of downtime, a lot of physical therapy, a lot of different things that you're going to have to do to get back into that lifestyle you were. Now, obviously, physical activity and proper workouts and nutrition, you can fight off comorbidities, which is basically 2 or more diseases that you have that can be preventable, diabetes, obesity, diabetes type 2, excuse me, I want to be specific, because type 1 you're born with. Obesity, or A lot of different things that have to do with like metabolic syndrome or dyslipidemia, which is a lot of, abnormal fat counts in your blood. There's a lot of things that we can work on, but as long as you stay active and you do these things, it's a longer, more fulfilling life. Now, if we're going to go over a proper workout example, this is pretty much, just a generic workout. Doesn't mean you have to do it. It's just showing you the structure you should do. Now, you begin with a 5 to 10 minute warm up. Now, what I like to do is, stretching or walking around, or maybe you can jog in place. It just depends on where you are, with the physicality in your life. Obviously, you could do jumping jacks. You could, do a little light stretching beforehand. And there's two types of stretching. There's static, which, obviously you put your hands up or you freeze in that position for about, 20, 30 seconds to stretch out. Or there's more dynamic stretching, which you basically provide motion while you're stretching. So you basically do a movement over and over again to help loosen up those muscles to make it better, a more efficient movement. Obviously, don't overexert yourself during the warm up because then you're going to ruin your workout. Just a generic workout would be 10 push ups, 10 squats, 10 crunches, walk or jog for 2 minutes. And then you want to repeat that circuit all over again for 3 rounds. Now, if you can only do 2 rounds, that's fine. If you can only do 1 round, that's fine. If you feel good after 3 rounds, try 4, but don't go, above bar and do, 10 rounds if you haven't been working out in about 10 years, because you're going to be really sore and your body's not going to like you the next day. But after you're done with that workout, the biggest thing people always mess up is the cool down. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but the cool down is extremely important because as you warm up to begin the workout, you want to cool down to end the workout. 5 to 10 minutes. What this does is it helps prevent blood from pooling in certain areas in your body. So therefore, the cool down will help recirculate the whole entire blood to help you heal faster, to help you sleep better, to help you be better, essentially. So you get a more efficient workout. And then, of course, after you're done working out, there's a small window of opportunity for a meal and hydration. When you're done working out, your body is craving, like in your cells. They are literally craving to feed it the right fuel, essentially. So obviously, after you're done working out, you want to hydrate with water. Some people like meal replacement shakes. That's fine. But a proper meal after you work out, your cells are craving it where whatever you put in, it's going to be utilized about 200 to 300% more efficiently than it would if you didn't work out. So that's a nutrient window timing that, I kind of teach patients that really helps them achieve their health goals that they want to do later on in life. Now, obviously, nutrition 101, I'm a big advocate, but, can it be a complex subject? Yes. But I pride myself in make it palatable, to people where they can understand it real easy, Obviously, don't make it hard on yourself if it doesn't need to be. Little simple tips like this can make a really big difference in your life, eating fresh ingredients. Now, to eat fresh ingredients, when you go into a grocery store, you want to perimeter shop. And everybody may have heard this. And if you haven't, perimeter shop is going around the ring of the grocery store. Yeah. So when you go around the perimeter of the grocery store, that's where all of your freshest ingredients are normally going to be located. You got the produce section, you have your meats, you got your, the cheese, the dairy, all that stuff lined up on the outside. If you go to the middle of the grocery store, that's where all of the sugary snacks are, the cookies, the good stuff, the preservatives, all that stuff. Now, the thing is that you want to stay away from those preservatives and sugars because they can actually increase your pain levels. Yeah, believe it or not, what we eat can actually cause us to be in more pain. And actually, what we eat can actually decrease some of our pain. And for some reason, that's a big mind opener to people that don't understand it because it's not their fault. They weren't taught this stuff. They didn't want to go to school for nutrition. Because I'll be honest, when you're at a graduate level nutrition class, you got to know every hormone in the body. You got to know every enzyme. Like it's like a big puzzle that you have to put together. But yeah, sugars and preservatives can increase pain levels, So if you're going through a lot of pain in your life and just a simple nutrition switch or a little tweak somewhere in an ingredient, man, that could lower your pain levels. That could, lower a lot of injuries that you're going through. And it could just help you be more positive because you're feeling better and you're not in pain all the time. Because a lot of the negativity could come from pain, and I get it. But that's literally what I try to do every single day of my life, is to help out my blood sisters and my blood brothers and take away that pain if I can. And when I meet with a patient, it's always, hey, let me ask your pain, 0 to 10, 0 being no pain, 10 being putting your hand in a meat grinder. Where are you at right now? And if you're above a 5, or 5 is normally, pretty stable, you can deal with it. If you're above a 5, we need to drop that. And even if you drop it 1 point, if you drop it 2 points, awesome. And I mean, if you completely abolish the pain, fantastic. That is awesome. But that's what I'm working towards. But even if you lower at 1 pain level, that's that's progress in the right direction. You're moving in the right direction. And that's why I really enjoy what I do, because I put my whole heart into it, and it's my passion. And I've had a lot of success throughout the years, and I'm going to continue to do so. So what do I mean by creating your own instruction manual? This is a very important tool. I don't know if you guys have been taught it, but it's pretty simple. You can use your phone or a notebook, depending on how you like to, write down things. Some people like to write it. Some people like to type it. It doesn't matter. As long as you do it, that's all I care about. Write down the physical activity, or write down everything that you do in your workout for that day in this nice little book. Pick the time of day that you did it. And then afterwards, how'd you feel afterwards? Did you feel good? Did you feel energized? Or, oh man, I got right knee pain now and I'm feeling really sluggish and I wish I didn't work out. That might mean you did too much. That might mean you don't have proper form quite yet with some of the movements. But just writing down what you did, what time you did it, and how you felt afterwards, man, you start doing this for about a week, you can start looking at some things and realizing, okay, I did this workout, I felt energized, but I did too much on this day and I felt bad. Connecting the dots like that can really build your own instruction manual. And that's what I mean by it. And the same thing goes for, what you eat, write down the foods that you ate, or write down the foods that you ate, put the time down. How'd you feel afterwards? For examples, I ate three eggs, 1 piece of bacon at 9 a.m. I felt energized. Or man, for example, I ate 3 hamburgers, 2 large French fries, I had a chocolate shake, I had a Coke at 12 p.m. I felt slow, I felt tired, I needed a nap. You know, we don't want to sleep throughout our lives. Obviously, if our body needs rest, we have to give it to it. But if we're not putting, proper fuel in the tank, essentially like a car, it needs gas to run. Your body's the same way. If you put a bunch of junk in your gas tank, it's not going to be able to run efficiently. And your body is the same way. It's a machine. And, a lot of people need to understand that. Now, when it comes to proper nutrition and stuff like that, that's why I'm here to help. I'm sure, a lot of people at the HTC teams, they don't really have a nutritionist. If they do, you're in luck. Definitely pick their brain. But anything you guys need help, after this presentation or questions, feel free to ask. And I'm always here. My door is always open. But yeah, understanding how your body operates is, key. Good nutrition, it helps a lot of things, controls your body weight. This is very, very important. One of the things we go over in the last slide is, basically our fun facts. And, that's going to be the next slide. But real quick, controlling your body weight. Did you guys know, if I were to ask you, if you lost 1 pound of body weight right now, how much pounds of pressure would that take off the knee joint? I want you to think about that. I want you to listen to this answer. If you lose 1 pound of body weight, it takes 4 pounds of pressure off the knee joint. So we got a lot of blood brothers and blood sisters that obviously have knee issues. Okay. Well, if we lose 10 pounds, that's 40 pounds of pressure off each knee, which in total is 80 pounds of pressure off of every time you make a step, off of every time you make a jog, or after every time, you're running somewhere. Those pounds of pressure can make the biggest difference in your lifetime, when it deals with pain or just, preventing osteoarthritis from keeping that nice, smooth cartilage running together, in your knee joint. Of course, increases brain health, decreases anxiety and depression. I know literally nutrition is 70% of how you're going to achieve your health goals. And I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to work out, I'm going to run on the treadmill forever, and I'm going to lose all this weight. No, it doesn't happen that way. The way that I make people deal with it is we deal with nutrition first because it's the largest percentage of how you're going to achieve your health goals. How you're going to prevent those preventable chronic diseases like diabetes type 2 and obesity. It can actually help reduce pain. It can help promote sleep. If we take that 70% out, the next 10% is just working out. That's it. Proper workouts. How much can you withstand? How much can you do? And the last 20% is obviously going to be sleep, because sleep is so important for the body to help rebuild, recharge, and get ready for the next day to help us get us better, faster, stronger, quicker. Now, this is pretty much, our last slide that we're going to go over. Like I said, 1 pound of body weight lost takes about 4 pounds of pressure off each knee joint. Now, if you're having GI issues and you're having a lot of GI bleeding, basically what's going to happen is one of the indicators in a blood test is your hemoglobin is going to go down. Okay. So if your hemoglobin goes down, hemoglobin's a red blood cell, helps pump oxygen throughout the system, helps us heal faster, helps us have more energy, and just all in all helps us function, the way we're supposed to. Well, the byproduct of hemoglobin is iron. So one of the things you can do nutritionally wise is you can kind of use it essentially as medicine. Did you guys know that vitamin C before a meal can increase the iron absorption by 6 times? 6 times. So if you're having issues with your hemoglobin or your iron count or something like that, talk to your HTC, talk to your providers, talk to your physician, say, hey, I heard vitamin C can help increase my iron absorption. Is this true? And they're going to tell you, yes, you want to eat it before a meal, or, a vitamin C tablet, or you can drink orange juice before a meal, and that'll help out. Obviously we're in a flex position all day long, driving, typing on the computer. That's what I mean by being in a flex position. So the thing our body's craving right now by being at these computers all day long is extension. We want to feed our body more extension, and that can be essentially standing up and putting your hands up in the air and waving them around like you just don't care, riding a roller coaster. Just nice little small stretches to help promote that extension in your lumbar and in your spine. By feeding your body these things, you're understanding, okay, I'm in a forward flex position. Obviously, I'm doing this all day. Well, what's the opposite of that? Oh, okay, extension. Wow, that actually feels good. You start to figure out these little things. And obviously, the acronym for fat soluble vitamins is KADE. It's KADE. The reason why I teach this is a lot of people that take multivitamins, I'm so happy for you. Thank you. It's great for you because a lot of the nutrients that we get in the food that we eat is not all of the nutrients that we need. Now, is a multivitamin going to give you everything you need? Not exactly, but it's going to help. It's going to help get those vitamins and minerals. What I mean by fat soluble vitamins is you have to consume some sort of fat in order for these 4 vitamins to work in your system. If you wake up and you take a multivitamin with water and that's it, you don't eat breakfast, those 4 vitamins are not going to be activated. So that multivitamin right there, K, A, D, and E, is not going to be activated. These are extremely important vitamins for eyesight, to help building bones, to help with, our skin, to promote better hair health and teeth and stuff like that. So by consuming fat, meaning, drink it with milk or, eating breakfast and taking your multivitamin, this is how these 4 vitamins are, going to work in your system. Now, the rest of the vitamins are water soluble, which just means you take them with water and they work. And obviously, to help you guys promote better sleep, stop using your electronics 30 minutes before you go to bed. The ambient light and the lighting from the phone can actually mess up with your brain to keep it hardwired to stay up. So pick up a book instead, keep it simple, keep it simple. And yeah, so that's basically the end of the presentation right there. There's my references. A little bit about myself, some hobbies. Obviously, I've been a drummer for like 27 years. My dad put me on his when I was like 3 years old, he put me on his legs and I was the hands and he was the feet. I like to wakeboard, I like to surf, do some fun things. And right there in the middle, that is the love of my life, Leanne, who I just got married to, Leanna Bordone. We're the Italians, all that good stuff. But we actually met in ballroom dancing class. So that's another one of the hobbies that I like to do to stay physically active and help build our relationship, because my grandfather always told me, you need to learn how to lead a woman on the dance floor. That's the last thing I'm going to teach you before he passed on. And I made sure that I did that in college. So here's my contact information, guys. Just wanted to thank everybody for coming. Here's my email. Take a picture with your phone. You got my cell phone right there. If you guys need anything, regarding any one of our programs, from, the wellness program to the mental health, to caring for caregivers, we have a whole slew of programs that help you guys, just deal with life a little bit better. We have a lot of specialists that are truly care about our community, and this is what we're here to do. So I'd like to open up the floor if anybody has any questions, concerns.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can unmute your mic, or if you just want to type it in the chat, we'll read it off to Zach. While people are thinking about that, one thing we do have in common, Zach, is that we both met our wives in dance class.
Hey, here we go, Porter. You slick dog, you.
Mine was in college, though. I had to take it because I was a physical education kinesiology major. So I had
there you go.
It worked out.
Yeah, good for you, man. Yeah, I was about to say, I took it as just, I always wanted to do it, grandfather. But man, we get to have so much fun with our wives. You know what I mean?
It's fun.
It's awesome.
Good stuff.
Awesome merengue. What do you like to dance?
That was 20 something years ago for me, but
you better pick it up.
Was swing. Right. My favorite was swing.
Swing? Hey, there you go, man. That's a fun dance. That's energetic. Yep. I like that.
That was my favorite. All right, any questions? We got some good presentations in there, Zach. So yeah, you did a great job.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm very interested in the chronic pain because I do go to pain management and I'm on all kinds of pain meds.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you said about the sugar, I was like trying to write it down, but I wasn't fast enough.
No,
I have very bad short-term memory from my COVID. I was like really sick with COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So short-term memory loss, and it's like horrible. But what were you saying about the sugar?
Yeah, so sugar, it could be a lot of different sugars and preservatives. So for instance, like corn fructose syrup, you probably see that in a lot of, sugary snacks or cookies and stuff like that. And a food preservative just makes the shelf life longer, right? So, talking to, your pain management specialist, maybe they have a nutritionist on board, or maybe you just need help in talking to me afterwards. Okay. I can send you a list of, some foods to watch out for that can actually, to stay away from. It can help you with pain.
I'll email you. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No problem, Nancy. I hope you feel better, okay?
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you, Zach.